Yeah, welcome. So like I said, if you wanted to check out some of the high school, um, sessions that are going on right now, don't worry about it. I know sometimes when you go to conferences, there's always like two that conflict, but we are recording that, so you can definitely do that. But I am super happy that we get to have our own sessions. Some of you were here since the very beginning of the middle school, junior high inception of this part of the program. And, we never really had our own session. So this is kind of nice to be able to evolve and have this for ourselves. So let me just. Okay, so just like Santa Linda, Dr. Moreno, I want to kind of ground us, bring us back, talking about all the positive, because we are going to be going through a lot of data. This morning we started off with our keynote, some very uplifting, but also some very heavy realities, right? So we want to make sure we're always kind of combating that with something else. So we're going to take about a minute or two to just think about 3 good things that have happened to you this past week. It can be small, it could be big. And then you can just put those in the chat. So 3 good things that have happened. It could be, and I include the weekends. It can be anything that happened at work, or it can be anything in your personal life. So you can just go ahead and put in the chat 3 good things to kind of keep us grounded as we move forward. Then sleep, visit with a friend, and supporting a colleague, love it. And so while we're waiting for the chat, throughout the presentation, of course, as you know, it's being recorded, and also you will have access to this PowerPoint. You will see this little guy down here, like a little brain with a little heart. So when you receive it as a resource, if you click on that little brain or heart, it's going to have a lot extra resources or more in depth. So when you click on this little heart for this specific slide, you will get, I believe it's 40 days. It's like a 40-day challenge you can do with students about how every single day they write down one good thing that happened to them, and just kind of like keep grounding them in that gratitude. So you can click on that little link. I have so many things to show you that I could not fit them all. So I have this little, so when you see this little guy here on the bottom left-hand corner, sometimes you'll see some slides have 2 or 3, just so you know, when you go back and look at it, there's plenty of resources there for you. Okay, so let me read a couple more. I have a supportive team. I got to spend the weekend with my friends. Sleep, yes. Our sleep schedule, I think for the past 3 years, has been so crazy. So yes, getting back on a sleep schedule. Let's see what else. Daughter had a B-day sleepover, with her cousins. Exhausting, but fun, yes. A student wrote me the sweetest thank you letter that validated my work. Love when that happens. I am an avid middle school, like junior high counselor. I feel like it's my favorite grade. The only complaint that I have about middle school counseling is that sometimes you don't get to see the flowers, right? Like you don't get to see, like a high school counselor, their senior year, you get like the thing, you get the big thing, but in middle school, sometimes you miss it. And so it's so nice when you get that note, or when they come back to see you. And it's just so beautiful. So that's the only thing. Everything else I love about middle school. But that's like the one thing I'm like, man, sometimes we don't get that love like the high school counselors do. And then a former student visited. Oh, I just said that. Visited to say hello. Okay, awesome. Mary, my sister had a baby. Congratulations, COVID baby. We were calling all these babies COVID babies, right? So sweet. Okay. So we have 3 big things to cover today. If you looked at the agenda ahead of time, we have no lunch break. Sorry, I know. I try if I can, try to give you a break as much as I can, but there's just so much to cover. But that does not mean that you can turn off your camera if you need to munch or eat or whatever. Anytime, please do. We do have breaks. Yes, thank you, Cynthia. Yes, typical workday, sorry. But yes, so we do have breaks built in. And then anytime you feel like you need to, go to the restroom, please do so. You don't have to like private chat me or anything. Just get up and go, turn off your camera and go. So we are super, we're familia, we're family here. So we do that. So no worries. So the 3 things we're going to cover today is student mental health support, living through an ongoing pandemic. We all kind of felt like, oh, what's going to happen? Year 1, it was like, oh, this is crazy. Year 2 is like, oh man, this is even crazier. And year 3, it's like, somehow it's getting crazier. Like just when you thought it wasn't going to get any crazier, it's like, boom, crazier. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about transitions. They're going to look so different. They've been looking very different for the past 2 years for kids. And then we're going to end with my favorite, which is parent and community engagement. So that's kind of what we're going to go through today. Like I said, I will be trying to go keeping to our time to honor your time. So, but also feel free to stop me if you have any questions, or if you're like, hey, my school site does this, you know, please stop us and just share. So let's talk about mental health. If you're not familiar with the term ACEs, that's okay, no worries. I'm not going to go in depth. That's why this little guy is at the bottom of the screen. So if you want more research on it, or you want to just learn a little bit more about it, there's a beautiful TED Talk. I think it's like 15 minutes long. That kind of explains it all. So what we're going to talk about is ACEs, right? So which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. So these experiences include things like physical and emotional abuse, neglect, caregiver, mental illness, and household violence. So this was, I think, coined, I want to say maybe 10, 15 years ago, when researchers started looking at how these, extreme, or we call toxic stress situations, affect our health, like our physical health, not only just our mental health, but our physical health. So what we're seeing now, though, is that obviously living through a pandemic is causing some of that toxic stress, which we hadn't researched before because obviously we haven't experienced it. So we're going to kind of look and see how that is affecting us now. So we are going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to have you guys talk. I was going to put you in breakout rooms. Let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, there's enough of us. Okay, so we're going to go into a breakout room. You're going to answer these questions. How, have you had any mental health struggles coming up for your students, staff, or community? So talking about that, because I think that being one of the privileges of being at the statewide office is that I get to see of like how the whole scope, right? What's happening in every site. Statewide, and there's some sites who have really robust, like rigorous programs that are super supportive, and there's some sites that don't. So we kind of want to like see, where everyone's at right now and what's coming up for you, because some people were really scared about coming back in person, and then it really wasn't too bad, right? And then some were obviously scared to come back in person, and then it really was worse than they thought. So let's kind of take a little pulse on that really quick to see what has come up for you. And you can go even back to last year, but mainly for this school year, for your students, staff, which I think we didn't really think about before we came back, and your community. And then what mental health supports do you have in place? So I'm gonna put you in a random breakout room. Hopefully we're all back. If not, no worries. No big deal. Shameless plug for the Big Give, as always, every single year. If you don't know, we raise money to give all of our Puentes seniors, not all of them, but a select few of Puentes students, a scholarship. 100% of the proceeds goes to Puentes students. So here is, once again, my shameless plug. You can do the QR code. We have, I'm looking at the countdown now, we have 9 hours left to fundraise, and so far we have raised 15,000, looks like, or 10,000, I think. Yeah, we raised 10,000 from 32 donors. So any small amounts counts and helps. So there's, okay, I'm done. That's my plug. You can also scan it. It's on the side of my head. Then I have it like
already.
Okay, yay, thank you. Yes, and it 100% goes to Puentistas, and we had, I think we gave about 45 last year, so it was really nice to be able to do that. Okay, let's talk about transitions. Always fun to talk about. So middle grade transitions. Actually, now that we have Aisha here, maybe we can just quickly go around and do introductions. Aisha is one of our newest counselors coming out of Berkeley, Longfellow. So maybe it'd be nice so she can kind of, we all know each other, but maybe we'll start with you, Cynthia. You're on my top left screen. Sorry, as you took a bite of something.
Well, welcome, Aisha. My name is Cynthia Garcia. I'm at Bret Harte Middle School in Hayward.
And then Miriam.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miriam. I'm at Winton Middle School in Hayward.
And Candace.
Hey there, nice to meet you. I am at South Junior High School in Anaheim.
Diane.
Hello, I'm Diane Roberts. I'm at Orangeview Junior High in Anaheim.
Alicia, I don't know if you're there.
I'm here. Hi, I'm Alicia. I've been at Cesar Chavez Middle School for 17 years, and that's in Hayward.
Great. And I think Emilia just stepped out. Maybe she's having a crisis on her campus. but she is the counselor at Newark Junior High. So she is in, where's Newark? Newark? By Union City in the Bay Area.
I know where it is. Yeah.
And then Aisha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm from in the Berkeley area. I work at Longfellow Middle School.
So we're going to talk about transitions. I mean, technically, they say middle school only has 2 transitions. I do feel like there's an extra one. But the first transition obviously is from elementary school to middle school, and then obviously from middle school to high school. The third transition I think exists is in between. 7th, that summer, something happens between that summer of 7th going into 8th. Not for every student, but for a lot of students, I feel something, I don't know, happens and they, mature in different ways. And so those are the transitions.
What about the 8th graders from the winter break after they come back like adults?
After the Christmas break in December?
Uh-huh.
I know it's always fun to see when my 8th graders, high school students come back to visit me. I'm like, you're so tall. You have like facial hair. Like, what is this? But yes, definitely something happens too in that spring of 8th grade year. We clone it for the high school or higher ed is like senioritis. I feel like the 8th graders get senioritis too that last semester. So those are the transitions we're mainly going to talk about today. The elementary.
And their voices change too.
It's very true. It's very true. Yes, the boys' voices change and they're like shocked too. They're like, whoa, I have a deep voice now. Or it cracks a little still, they get like embarrassed about that. Yes, definitely. All the fun transitions that happen. So once again in a breakout, because we love breakouts, we're going to talk about what academic and social emotional struggles are apparent in this grade level. Now, I think we should approach this in 2 different ways. One, I think historically, and then one living through a pandemic kind of thing, right? Because I think some of them will be similar, but there will be some things that will be very different, right? And then what supports have you tried at this grade level? So we're talking about 7th and 8th. And then what supports would you like to see in this grade level? So this breakout room is actually going to be random again, but one breakout room will only be speaking about 7th grade and the other one will only be speaking about 8th grade. So I'll make sure to label them so you know which group you're in. And then as always, pick a reporter and a recorder, all that stuff before we come back. Welcome back.
Meeting is being recorded.
It is. That is true. Okay, so did you guys pick a reporter and a recorder? That laugh tells me no. Okay. You guys are worse than the students, I tell you.
Well,
Okay.
well, I'll report, guys. I'll report, and then you guys can jump in for if I leave something out.
Okay, go ahead, Aisha. Well, actually,
Okay, yeah, because we ended up talking about a counselor dilemma that we have sometimes,
okay.
or a lot of the time. But for the academic and the social emotional struggles, it's just we really talked a little bit about how we prepare them for what's coming up. Some of them are a little bit challenged by or frightened by the idea of going on to high school, because many middle schoolers see high school as a time when they really have to get serious, because they know all of their high school work is going to determine whether or not they get into a 4-year college or end up going to a community college for a little while. So, talking to them a lot about that. And I also make a point of really involving them in any SSTs or 504s that we may have, because I want them to start advocating for themselves. So I pretty much insist that they come to meetings. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I really want them to start advocating for themselves, spend some time building them up on those areas that they're really strong in and telling them what kinds of careers that can lead to, and how important those areas where they might have some weaknesses are still important, and what they can do to continue to strengthen those weaknesses so that they have a lot of options to choose from rather than just going in this direction because it's easy. Supports I've tried at this grade level. Oh, we've got all kinds of supports. There's lots of different counseling. We have counselors on mental health counselors on staff. We also have a restorative justice. So I'm constantly mediating or having them go to our restorative counselor to actually mediate. We work a lot on being an ally and just being able to respect other people. You don't have to like them. I tell them, heck, there's some people at my job. I don't like all the teachers and administrators, everybody here. You know, I'm not going to go out to dinner with them or invite them over, you know, for popcorn and snacks, but I'm going to respect them and work with them when I'm in a meeting because it benefits you. That's my job. I don't have to like somebody to do my job, you know, and the same thing with them. They don't have to like every single person in their classroom, but they do have to respect them. And if they're assigned to a work group, they do have to figure out how they're going to produce their project. You know, that's part of their social emotional growth and their maturity, and that's the world. And we have a very diverse community, so they get lots of opportunity to kind of do that. What would you like to have for this grade? What support? Well, my two peers, they said they had never worked with the 8th graders. I think they were both 7th grade counselors for the most part. I don't know, guys, what kinds of supports? Nothing pops into my head. We didn't talk about that. Anybody from my group want to chime in on that? And did I cover everything that we discussed?
I think one of the things that I mentioned was about how students that are in middle school think, okay, this really doesn't count, this stage of my academic career, because when I get to high school, that's when credits count. So just to maybe on the report card, if we could include that, like, okay, if it's, you know, you received a B, so you received credit, or you got an F, you get 0 credit, just for them to familiarize themselves with credits, that it does matter. Because yeah, they're in middle school and they're like, no, this is just, you know, a stage that I have to go through and it doesn't really matter. It'll count later on, but I think we need to change that attitude.
Agree. Yes. It's hard, you know, to sell. I always found it was hard to make them understand that in a way that was concrete. Because essentially, you know, the grades don't go on their transcripts, right? Unless in 8th grade, they take like a language or like integrated math 1, right? Then you can add those to the high school transcript because you will need those for validation reasons when you go to college. But for the most part, all the classes that the 8th graders have, right, won't be on their transcript that colleges see. So
one of the ways though,
go ahead.
Can I just chime in? One of the ways though I do make them understand is because some of the kids aren't going on to like Berkeley High School. I'm in Berkeley. You know, they want to go to a different school, like a private school or a Catholic school or something like that. And I let them know that their transcripts count. I'm asked for their transcripts. So in that way, those grades do matter. The other thing is I will show some of the 8th graders what credits are needed to graduate from high school. And I will tell them, okay, you see, you need X amount of credits in math. So you need this 8th grade math so that you are prepared to do the 9th grade. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck taking this class over and over and over again. You will fail if you don't have this foundation or if you don't get the extra support that you need. You only want to take a class once is what I explained to them, so that you can graduate on time. So those are some of the ways that I try and make the connections for them, both those that are planning on going to a school and hopefully getting a scholarship or something like that for high school, but then also to let them know you've got 120 credits to earn in these areas. I showed them the areas and, you know, just explain to them that, you know, middle school is all the foundational work that you need as an 8th grader so you can be successful as a 9th grader.
Right. And I think that's why it's hard with the transcripts, but that's a good way to do it. That's why I try to ground it a little bit more in habits, right? All of the healthy habits that you are creating in middle school are going to be with you, right? In high school, in college, in your work life, right? Just like you mentioned, you know, we don't always, you know, get the favorite colleague that we work with or boss. you know, or even teacher in high school. Because I think a lot of the concern about the 8th graders is that they hear from their peers that the high school teachers are really mean, or they're really strict, or, you know, this and that. And so there's always like a little bit of fear of like, what are the teachers going to be like, right? And it's like, well, you're not always going to have a teacher that you love, but this should not stop you from learning, right, and engaging with them. Anything else for the 8th graders so we can move on to the 7th grade? Anybody else in the 8th grade team? No?
Well, I also think that another way to motivate students to get good grades in the 8th grade is to tell them that, you know, many programs, right, do look at grades. And also it does count to a certain extent for some high school placement classes, right? So for like English, math, or intervention. So that's the way that we try to frame it at, I know at Ochoa, to motivate and encourage them to continue to do the work and get the good grade.
Right. Yeah. Anybody else? Or we'll go to 7th grade. Okay. 7th grade, who'd you pick as a reporter? Did you guys not pick one either?
You kind of picked me.
Okay, yay.
Yay. Okay, so our 7th graders, yikes, right? So some regular academic and social emotional struggles, like the transition from 6th grade to 7th grade, having not been in school since 5th grade. We know all these kinds of things. Our kids have a severe like phone and technology addiction. They can't put those darn things down. The touching, the unstructured time where they are touching each other all the time. And then academically, they the struggles that we're finding with them is that they are lacking a lot more motivation, even than maybe the populations that were a little bit less motivated than before. They are more now. And also just kind of like the not really being an advocate for ourselves, which is things we are having to constantly teach them. We understand that we're constantly teaching them about self-advocacy, but they're not seeming as interested in even like wanting to or feeling the need to communicate with someone or get some help or whatever. Just kind of like my existence should be enough. And you know, it's
I'm breathing and I'm here, so
isn't that enough, right?
Yeah.
And so the supports, I mean, all the same kind of supports that we were using prior to COVID, we have additional people on staff to help support. We're trying to be innovative with ways that we are, you know, reaching out to students and their parents. We're trying to connect students with different kinds of resources. And we found that as far as like something that we would like to have for this grade level, and really the schools that we were at were 7th and 8th grade, would be some really a lot more structure during their unstructured time. So to be a little bit more disciplined with how and what we expect from them during that time. And we know that that's possible. Anything I missed, or probably a lot of things that I missed, but anything that you want to share out, team?
I want to add to Candace? No, she did a good job. You did a good job. What about support? Did we talk about supports?
Yeah, just like a lot of things that we just had like pre-COVID, but then also like we have additional resources on campus. We've done trying different kind of innovative ways to connect students with resources and extra help and things off campus, on campus, and yeah.
Did you guys discuss, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about it later, but it popped into my brain, so I want to ask you now. Was the recruitment any different because, you know, those 6th graders coming in were, you know, like COVID 6th graders? So did you notice in recruitment that there was any kind of difference?
Yeah, for us here at Winton, less applied last year and this year. We had less students that applied for Puente.
Right.
Incoming 7th graders.
Yeah, I think and that was kind of what we kind of predicted, right? Just because they're not on campus. You know, they couldn't come and tour. It's not like how we usually take our Puentistas with us, you know, like to the sites. So what did you guys do to kind of combat it? Because obviously you have a cohort because they're here. So what kind of things and strategies did you put in place for that? Imelda, I don't know if you have your hand up or you're just trying to high-five me.
Was the question for what did we do for recruitment, or what was the question?
Yes,
The
yes.
recruitment. Okay, so what I did and was very successful in getting a lot of students interested in applying. I did Puente presentations at each of the elementary schools. We have 6, and at each of the 6 grade classes of those 6 elementary schools. And then at the end, because we had a college fair, so then what the students liked for the college fair was that at the end, each college recruiter did.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Sorry, is that better?
Yes, now we can hear you.
So then what I did was kind of mimic what the college recruiters did at the end of the presentation. I asked questions like, when is the application due? What is Puente? Who has to be interested? All those questions. And then I gave them free like little Puente gear. Like we had a little squish ball, stress ball, pens. And then we had like one of those bags and lanyards. So they were very interested, and we got over 120 applicants for oncoming class year.
Were the 6th grade class, the presentations you did, were they virtual or in person?
In person. So I had to do a lot of scheduling and coordinating with all the teachers, each principal. And then we were going to have students go, our current students, and go to the presentations, but that was just a long process that we didn't anticipate. So we're like, no, we'll just make a video, and then I'll show the video.
Right. Did anybody have any virtual options? Yes. Yeah.
Well, last year we had to do everything virtually. So we just did, the teachers allowed us to come into their classrooms and they did a Zoom. This year we were supposed to go in person. We had it set up, and then it's when all the numbers kind of went up again, and our district ended up doing a 1-week virtual independent study. So we switched them all back to virtual. And this time, because all of our students have Chromebooks, they were each on a Chromebook in class. So that allowed for them to chat and be interactive. But hopefully, I feel like we have a little bit more applications this year than we did last year, because just like Miriam said, our application pool last year was way low, and we just accepted pretty much everyone. And that's why we were able to fill the class. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like I said, that's why we're still in that like in between world, right? Some things are going to be virtual, some things are going to be in person, and then like, who knows what's going to happen, right? So that's nice to have a little bit of both. Okay, anybody else? I'm going to watch a quick video. Anybody else on this before we go?
Giselle, we did our visits virtually. And when I was talking about Puente, I had the elementary school kids sell the program, because I said, okay, like raise your hand. Do you have a cousin, a brother, a sister, a tío, a tía that's been in Puente? And then like hands were going up, and I said, oh, tell us about it. What did they tell you about the Puente program? And then so when we were meeting with the kids individually to program them, they're like, oh, I want to switch to Puente. Can I do it right now? Can I switch? So it was really nice that it's like I started seeing things shifting, like, okay, they're hearing their peers say positive things about it. So it really helped us out to have the kids share.
Yes, if you have an established Puente program, it's helpful. We have some newer sites, so they don't really have that yet. But when you get there, right, in 3 to 5 years, after you implement, you will have this community, right, saying who went to Puente, right? My cousin or my brother or my sister. So it usually takes a couple of years, but yes, thank you for sharing that. And that's actually a really, really good idea, because like you said, it's in their own words, right? And it gets them excited, because kids always love to participate and be part of the presentation as much as they can, right? So getting them engaged. Alicia, you said you did those virtually, or was that in person?
Virtually.
Virtually, okay. So you did like a Zoom meeting and then the kids unmuted?
Yeah.
Or were they like in a classroom and then the teacher unmuted?
So like each kid also had their Chromebook, so I could see them on the screen. And then it's like if they weren't speaking, like they would do the little reactions, the little faces, thumbs up.
But they were all in the same room, like they were all in the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. I love that. Yeah, it's a little bit better when it's like they can have their own Chromebook, because then you have more of it's a little bit harder when it's just like you speaking to one big group, it's harder to see. So that's nice, because at least they can interact, like you said, with the smiley faces or the whatever little reactions Zoom gives us. So yeah, that's nice. Okay, so I'm going to show you this little video. This cute little 7th grader from Oakland. I'm already thinking about doing something this for Puente. So if you have any 7th graders that you think would be good for something like this, let me know. Okay, so I'm going to play it. Let me make sure you can hear it.
Middle school is a lot different from like
Hold on.
elementary school, because it's like everybody acts different and stuff. And like I feel like
Sorry. Why won't it let me?
Now this video, we'll show you the.
Hold on. That was weird. It didn't let me show the video. Technical issues.
middle school is a lot different from like
There we go. Can you hear it okay?
elementary
Is that okay
school,
or no?
because it's like
Not
everybody acts different and stuff. And like I feel like if I had gone to 5th grade in person, it would have been like easier to see that transition and like understand it a little bit more maybe. But because I haven't, it's kind of just like, well, a bunch of people changed and I don't know why. They just like poof. I still remember when I was in like 1st and 2nd grade, and I would like look at the 5th graders, and they seemed so mature, and they seemed like they were so strong, and like they knew what they were doing. And now, when I'm a 5th grader, I kind of just feel like I did before.
It's so weird that I have a feeling that I want to go back to school again. So I don't know. I don't really like online school. It kind of makes me feel lonely sometimes.
I've been able to feel I've learned to do work more independently, because I've had to do all my work by myself, and my parents are always helping my brother. So they've got to like trust me to get all my work done every day on time.
I have a small amount of ADHD, but so it's hard for me to concentrate. But my dad works on writing with me now, so I get more one-on-one attention with him. So that's kind of like one of the few things that it has helped with. I feel like I'm learning as much as I would in the classroom. It's definitely not the experience in a classroom, but I'm still learning a lot, and I'm very happy that I still get to learn. I'm a bit worried about going to middle school, but I think I would have felt that anyway. It's just I feel it more because I don't really know what's been happening this past year. But then again, I remember, well, for almost everybody, it's been like that.
My parents want to move to Canada in the summer, so I think I'm going to be moving to a completely different place. Like even the friends that I can see outside of school, they're going to stay here. So I think just leaving everything behind and then starting over again, I think that's feeling particularly scary.
And going into 6th grade, it's exciting, but the thing is, I don't know a lot of people going to my middle school. So it might be a little bit tough to make some friends, but I'm hoping that I will be able to make new friends in an environment with people that have the same interests as me. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to period, to like going to different classrooms. I always kind of thought that was actually pretty cool.
Especially for the first day, I'm going to be so confused, like of how to do lockers, how to find my classes.
I kind of want to like find out like who I am, because I feel like this is like middle school and high school is like where you find your style and your personality and like meeting people that you're gonna be with for a long time. I am really excited to like expand on who I am as well as the things that I know in a new environment, and like being able to socialize more. Not being on the computer as much is like big for me now.
I'm pretty nervous because I know that it's gonna be a lot more work, definitely. But I'm also really excited for a fresh start because I haven't had one of those in 6 years. So I'm really excited to see meet new people, having the experience of making friends again.
So obviously that middle school was sixth, seventh, eighth, which we don't have yet. But it's still the same feeling, right, of going to middle school. So super cute. Like I said, if you have any seventh graders currently that you think would be good for a video like that, send them to me. Because I definitely want to do something like that for you guys to have, so that you can show it, right, to your elementary school kids so that they feel, even if you are doing it in person, it's nice to have a video for that. We have also one for 8th grade. I'm not going to show it to you, but it is on here. As you know, as always, all of our resources are on here for you. Any other last comments about the transition or anything that unique that your site is doing to either do the transition from 6th to 7th or from 8th to 9th? No, going once, going twice. Anything you find is working really well? I know that, and maybe, I don't know if Cynthia's there, but, or Jeanette or Miriam, do you guys still do are you guys doing where the high school students come down to talk to your Puentistas or no? Because of COVID?
Not right now. Yeah, we haven't done it.
Because of COVID.
We did it virtually.
Oh, you did it virtually, Jeanette?
Yeah, we had Dan Guerrero's class to our 8th graders virtually in December.
Right. Candace and Diane, do you guys do that with the high school? Do you guys have any of the high school students come down for recruitment for your 8th graders?
So far, no. The Puente counselor comes down, Lacey comes down, but not the kids right now.
Okay.
We tried to set something virtually up for this year, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So generally just the counselor.
Well, this is also another good way, right? Just like a recorded video, even if the 9th or 10th grade Puentistas can record a video, then at least you can show that. But like I said, if you have any 7th graders currently right now that you feel would be good on video, please send them my way, because I would love to do that for a statewide. Okay, just a quick time check. Looks like it's 41, so we're doing good. We have a couple minutes left. Okay, so let's talk about some resources. We do have an educator website, just so you know, puenteeducators.org. You guys should all already know that, but sometimes the links are a little quirky. So if there's you don't have access to something, just let me know so I can make sure to get that to you. I'm not going to go through these, like I said, because the interest of time, I'm trying to get you out of here on time. But here's a couple things that you can look at to kind of help for that transition, right, academically, like how to study effectively, all the stuff we talked about, right? Those 7th graders are trying to get to know who they are, right? And most of that writing and getting to know who they are and their identity happens in the classroom. But we support that as the counselor as far as study habits. Remember how we were saying, how do we get them motivated to care about their grades, right, in middle school? Well, guess what? Study habits matter, time management matters, right? Self-management matters, all these things matter. And talking to them about that. And then we have, of course, our social emotional, of course, we have a million, resources for that, but I really like the personal plan for self-care that is also on the educator website. And so remember earlier we were talking about the calm space. Some of us said we don't have any space in our school. Some of us said I can't even find a corner or a window, nothing, right? Well, guess what? If you can't find any space at all on your campus, you can do these coping skill cards, right, for students. Diane mentioned making those little the little squares, right? The little sensory squares with the yarn. This can be something else you do, right? A coping skills card. So even if you don't have a space on your campus that you can make like a calming corner or something like that, then this is something they can actually carry with them into all of their classrooms, right? Into all of their spaces. And it's just pretty simple. When I feel sad or angry or upset or whatever, I can, and then the student writes down what they can do, right? What is appropriate to do, what is not, obviously on the school campus. So that's just kind of a fun way to kind of still have that that sense of space, safe space for them, but not actually having physically the space. I know Cynthia mentioned on her desk, her actual desk, she has, all these little fidget toys and things like that. So wherever you can find the space, like, let's just try to have it, as a resource. Here's a little guy at the bottom here. I don't think I mentioned to you, Aisha and Jeanette, because you guys relate, but throughout the presentation, you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner, if you see one of these little icons, it's a little guy with a brain. It just means you can click on it afterwards and it has way more resources. I just didn't want to like put it all on the one slide. So this one in particular, and we always talk about things around, right, our classrooms and things around our school. So this is one of the from Learning for Justice, formerly known, I think Teaching for Tolerance was their former name. They have all these one-word posters that are super, super good. Dr. Rendon talked about Lizzo. Here's a Lizzo one, and you can download it for free and like put it up in your room or give it to kids to put up in their bedrooms, like kind of whatever. So there's all these fun things that you can put around, right? There's some really beautiful ones in here. So that resource is there for you. Okay. Ooh, we are like right on time. Exactly.
Hey, Giselle, where on the Puente website are these resources?
These are not on there yet because I just made it today. Like I'm just showing it today. So like give me maybe about a week and then all of these will be on the website. They're on this PowerPoint that you're going to get like today after this. And then college and career, a bunch of different stuff in here. There's a huge a lot of literature out there. Now, some of us are, I know our district, some of us are allowing us to come in person. If Imelda's there, she will tell you that we are hosting, we're so excited to host Imelda and her 120 Puentistas. I know. So we're excited. It's our first like in-person, field trip in years. So we're super excited. That will be in April. So Imelda's coming up with all her Puentistas. But if you can't still, for whatever reason, if the district is, still has COVID restrictions, because I know some districts have COVID restrictions, even for like on the charter buses, like as far as like distance, like only one kid per bench. And that gets expensive, right? Like if you have 120 kids, like that's going to be like 12 buses. That's just out of control, right? So obviously follow what your district is doing. And if for some reason you still have to do virtual tours, you already know we have tons of that already on the website. But I also found this really fun. If you look kind of not all, but most of your like local CSUs or UCs actually have a full section for you to like look at. So this is just CSU Long Beach. Another one of our sites are going to CSU Long Beach, but it's going to be virtual. They can't physically go. So they have all the little like lesson plans and worksheets and stuff in here for you. And it's all geared towards going to CSU Long Beach. So along with the resources from last time, which has like the virtual tours where you take the physical tours, they have a bunch of different worksheets that you can have the kids fill out virtually, or if you're in the classroom and you guys are doing the virtual tour together, then you can have this sheet out and the kids can be filling out the sheet as you're going through it. So those are all free resources you can find. Most, I would say CSUs, UCs, I think there's only like 3. I think Cal has one, UCLA, and UC Merced, I think has it. But most Cal States have it. You can just like look it up. But I just did Long Beach because that's what we were doing recently.
Just
yes.
Really quick question on that. Do you have a contact for Santa Cruz? I think I saw they just started a Puente Club at UC Santa Cruz.
Yep. We have, now Cynthia, we have people everywhere.
No, but I saw like an announcement, like I think on an Instagram where they were excited to have just started like an actual Puente Club.
Yeah.
So if you have their contact info, if you can share it with, I know Miriam was thinking about going to Santa Cruz too, because we did.
You're thinking about going in person?
Yeah, we're getting buses. That's always our 8th grade end of year. And I'd rather like have Puentistas do the tour, than going through admissions if possible.
Yep, I'll send you the info.
Thank you.
Okay, sure. And now, I don't know, Aisha and Jeanette were here, but we talked about our wonderful grant that was announced in the morning. So you have $10,000 to spend. So, and that includes you, Aisha. So we have a grant. So You can use it on many different things. We talked about extra yarn, right, Diane, for the things, the finger looping for the kids. We talked about, buses for field trips, things like that. Well, this is actually I think it is a yearly subscription, but it's really fun. You get to create it yourself. And basically it's like, as you can see at the top, there's a bar. It's like a 30-minute, you set the time limit. And then this is a good virtual option. Like your teacher can make it a homework assignment. Or like, some sites have like on Wednesdays, we wear our college gear, on Fridays, like whenever you have your college kind of awareness, it's a fun little game. And you can put as many locks and things as you want, and you just set it up if you're a little bit more tech savvy. Like I said, you do have to pay for the subscription, but right now you have the money. So, so basically the way it works is you put kind of it together, you put whatever college knowledge you want to put on there, and then the students can like read about it, and then they have to, and it's a game, obviously, they have to put in the answer in order to like get to the end, and then you can have like a little prize or whatever. So, you have to type in the questions, like, where do I begin? So many colleges, universities across the state, so many private schools, some are public, and then it goes on and you have to answer it. So it says like, what is the best way to start? So it took me a while to figure out the answer. Not gonna lie, took me like a while, but the answer is explore. See, and then it like gives them a little thing and they go to the next one. I have not figured out this answer, but it's okay. But basically it's talking about like different mascots, right? So it says, I'm curious about each college mascot, where can I find about them? And it has the 4 colleges. And then down here, they have to enter the color combination that they think is going to unlock the key, right? Based on those 4 mascots of those schools. So it's like they have to kind of go and search and do the work and then come back and get the answer. So it's just kind of a fun way if you're doing virtual.
Red, gold, and white, Giselle.
I did that. It didn't work. Just watch. Now, see, now you're going to get to start. Red. This is red, right? Gold. Which gold? This gold or this gold?
No, gold. That's orange.
No, this one is yellow to me. Okay, this one is gold.
Yellow.
Okay, and then which one?
White.
Let's see if it goes. Nope.
Do it in a different order. Yellow, red.
See how fun it is? And like, obviously this counselor just created like some easy ones. This one, how many CSUs and UCs are there in California? Which was weird to me because it has 3 and there's not 3. There's 33 CSUs and 10 UCs. So there's only 43. So I don't know why there's 3 here. I don't know if they put 100. I don't know. So it's like you basically create the questions and then it kind of, this is kind of cute. We did have a couple students who went to Harvard last year. And so we had them do a video. I can send that video to you too if you need it. She's really sweet. And so it's just kind of fun. So you do have to pay for it, but like I said, you have the money now, you might as well. This is a fun, especially for my counselors who have those interns, Cynthia, those interns, like this would be something really fun for them to do on College Awareness Week. And like, you can link it, send it to the kids, put on your website.
How much is this, Giselle?
I want to say it's $99, but like I said, you have 10,000. So
it would be per year.
Yes, yearly. But I mean, you could use it now. And I believe that any one that you create, you might still have access to after a year. Okay. So it's a really fun kind of interactive way, like I said, to kind of just get the kids excited. And you can always do a little prize for them, or like home, if you're doing it in the classroom. I used to ask my Puente teacher to give like extra credit points on a test, or like one essay free or whatever, homework assignment drop off or whatever. And then of course, here's our little guy down here. So they have a lot of extra stuff in here. There's like a whole curriculum in there. And this goes along with that curriculum. So a bunch of lesson plans in there. Okay, so any other questions?
And that 10,000, Giselle, that 10,000 is for the site, right? Not per counselor. It's total, 10,000 total for the site, correct?
Correct. Each site will get 10,000 total. Yes. So you and your teacher will have to fight over them.
Talk about it. You won't need to fight.
You guys will have to negotiate, what resources. But I mean, still, even like
that's a lot of money.
Even
it's a lot of money.
Let's just say you're doing a field trip to Santa Cruz, Cynthia, right? You're taking 100 kids, right? That might be like 3 charter buses. Let's just be generous, right? Charter buses are usually between 1,200 each, right? So that's
1,800 to go to Santa Cruz for the day.
Right. So, but that's all your buses, right?
That's for take our 130, our 33 eighth graders.
Right. So, I mean, you still will have some, even if you did 2 trips, like you said, you want to do it for 8th grade this year, and then for 8th grade next year, you still have a little bit to play with, right?
Yeah.
So, and then if you ever, for whatever reason, feel like, oh my gosh, you know, my students really want to go to the Museum of Tolerance, or they're really excited about this or that, or they want to help this, always let me know, you know, because we always have funding sources everywhere. Kind of the fun part about being a nonprofit, the fun and the not so great sometimes, but we're really good at finding money when we need it. So if you ever have a field trip and you're like, oh my gosh, my kids are just, they're obsessed with this and they really want to go, just always shoot me an email so we can always figure out how to make that happen for you. So don't ever feel like whatever your district is giving you is it. We can always support you, okay? Anything else on this? Because we got to switch gears to my favorite.
How will we be given that money? Will it be sent to the district?
Now that question depends on, we are trying to find, I'm gonna have Anna cut this out of the recording too. She's gonna hate me.
We can talk offline, but I'm just wondering because it's just such a pain in the butt.
We're trying to find, I guess, the easiest avenue to get it at your school site, because technically we have to send it to your district office, and we already know there's a lot of red tape there. And because it is a substantial amount of money, we don't want someone to accidentally say, oops, we have an excess of 10,000 and we spent it on this, right? And so that's why
we can't carry it over to the next school year.
Right.
That's mainly what I'm thinking about.
Right. So that's why we are making sure that the language says 2021, 2022, and 2022, 23 to combat that. So even if the district doesn't want to roll it over, we are stipulating that it has to, because you're getting it so late, right, this year. It doesn't make any sense. So you will be getting it for both years.
I wonder if it can also be stipulated, as Josefina mentioned at the beginning, that these are supplemental funds, right, to be used at the site's discretionary and Puente office. So that way it gives us some flexibility in terms of how to use it.
Exactly. So and that's what I'm saying, supplemental, but it is, you are allowed to use it on supplies. You're allowed to use it on field trips. You're allowed to use it on essentially almost anything that you need, basically. And by when we say you need, that means that you and your teacher, right, is going to talk about what do you need to run your program. If that means, you know, 300 feet of yarn, Diane, then, you know, that's what it means, right? You guys all get to kind of decide what you feel. And we try not to be too narrow in that language so that you guys could, you know, like I said, like if you want to take your kids to an art exhibit, or like I said, the Museum of we have a high school going to the Museum of Tolerance in a couple weeks. So like little things that you do like that, just, you know, keep those things in mind. Okay, anything else on the equity grant or anything of this? Because we gotta.
Yeah, Giselle, is there any language in the MOU, and will we be able to see the MOU that our school has made so that if there's a question, we can say, oh, but right here on line 5 in the MOU.
Yep. Yes. All of these counselors here can tell you. Yes, you get access to your MOU and use it wisely. Use it as much or as you need to. And if you come up with something and you're like, I did, you know, use my MOU and it got a little pushback, no problem. Just let us know. We can come in and say, no, this is a contractual agreement. And, you know, if you feel like you need backup, we're always here to support you. Yeah. But yes, you will have full access to your signed MOU. You want that sooner? I can get it to you now, Aisha, if you want, but.
I would like it just because I would just, as a newbie, I just would like to know what it is. What is the agreement? Okay. Because I'm still learning about the program. So,
yes. So I will I'm pretty sure yours, I know yours is signed and ready to go, which means, because there's like a 3-part process, not to get too deep into MOUs, but I know that your MOU for Berkeley has already gone past the 3rd step. So there's different steps. So I will get that to you. And it's just a PDF. And usually most of the information you need is only on like 1 or 2 pages. The rest is just like legal, you know, like jargon or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll make sure I email that to you probably early next week if I can get to it. Anything else?
Thank you.
Sure. Always here to help. All right, we're gonna take another quick break. We're a little bit behind, but that's okay. If you have not taken, everyone besides Aisha, you don't need this, but everyone else, if you have not taken the teen status survey, I hate to give you homework on your break, but please do that now. Let me put it in the chat for you. Where did my chat go? Oh, it was hiding, of course. It's always hiding from me. So here's the link, and we're gonna take, see, it's already 1. I'm trying to get you out of here on time. Let's take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and finish up with parent engagement. Yes? Or do you guys want no break and just power through? We get hands? You want to vote? Anybody want to take a 5-minute quick break, or do you want to just keep going? This is our last session together, so.
I'm filling out the survey, so I can multitask if everybody wants to power through.
Okay, Imelda, thumbs up means just go, keep going. Alicia means keep going. Okay, then let's just go. We'll just keep going. Okay, my favorite, parent engagement. It's usually what educators like the least, but for me it was always challenging, and it sounds like it's getting even more challenging, right, with the sense of what did we talk about earlier, like entitlement and just urgency that parents are starting to feel now that their students are coming back to school, right? Let me just make sure, do I have everybody here? Oops. I feel like I lost someone. We have Alicia, Imelda, Diane. How do we, 2, 4, 6, 8? Should be 8 of you. I don't know who we're missing. Okay, 2, 4, sorry. Like taking attendance. Like you are missing Cynthia, Miriam. Oh, Jeanette. I knew I was missing somebody. Sorry, Jeanette, because you came in late. So I'm like, yeah. All right, now we're good to go. Okay. Obviously, it starts with you. Sorry, Cynthia, I did not ask your permission to use your photo, but I kind of don't care because I love you. So it starts with you. Here is Cynthia working her magic with her Puente students in her Puente classroom. So we're gonna take a couple minutes just to kind of think back. We're all gonna share. I know this is a safe and vulnerable space. So you're gonna think back to when you were K-12. If you wanna think back to middle school, that's fine. Or just any K-12 experience. Who was there for you? Who was there for you on your school campus? And if nobody was, that's fine. You can pick someone in your family that supported you. Who on campus made you feel seen, validated, heard, loved, appreciated, all those things, right? All the things that we foster, you know, who helped you build that relationship and kind of help you push forward academically. So I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. I'm actually gonna time it this time. Usually I don't, but I'm gonna give you 2 minutes and then we'll come back and share. All right, time is up. We are all ready. Okay, I'm gonna go first. I don't have any middle school, but I do have a high school. I don't think anyone who's ever seen me do any math knows that I'm not the best at math. And I was like that in high school, all through high school, did not like, I'm pretty sure if I had to like diagnose myself back then, I had a serious phobia of math. I mean, it literally physically made me sick all the time. And I just had a lot of anxiety around it until I met a math teacher. And it's like, I will talk about it later, full circle, but he was amazing. He made math fun, engaging. You know, he, not just me, but all the other students, right? He made us feel like, you know, it's okay. Math is not always, you know, the easiest to grasp. And this was a higher level math class. I want to say it was like either pre-calculus at the time. Obviously we didn't have integrated math 1, 2, 3, but I want to say it was either pre-cal or maybe geometry, one of those. So it wasn't like you know, like an algebra 1 class. It was a higher level math class, and he was just very, I don't know how to explain it. He just literally made us feel like it's okay to fail, and it was okay to, you know, feel strange and not always get the best grades and not always, you know, he went out of his way to support us. if anybody in the class like had sports, like did baseball or soccer or whatever, he always made sure to try to come to some of our games. So he was just a really, really engaging, amazing teacher. Although I did learn a lot of math because of, you know, his engagement, I also felt like he really just cared about me, right? And he just really cared about all of us. And, you know, he really wanted all of us to succeed. And it just really made me feel like, okay, maybe there's not something wrong with me, right? Like math is just maybe not the best. Me and math are just not going to always be perfect, but, you know, it's still not worth completely giving up, which I felt like doing all the time. It's just like completely giving up, right? Like, oh, I just can't do math. I'll just do the whatever other math options my high school had, which was like business math or whatever it was, you know, not like the traditional one. So that's my story. And then of course I, you know, became a Puente counselor, statewide office now, coordinator. And I saw his name. I saw my teacher's name on one of our Puente rosters. And I'm like, what is this? And he's like, so I messaged him and I'm like, hey, are you in Puente? And he's like, yes, he's actually an administrator at one of our high schools. So it's like full circle. So he is a Puente administrator at one of our high schools in Southern California. So it was just amazing. And I just kind of sent him a nice little note saying how much I love and appreciate him for seeing the courage and the, you know, and just helping me see myself as a scholar, really, as a math student, and really to overcome it. And it helped me in so many other ways. So that's my story about math, my math phobia, that I feel like I've officially overcome, but every now and then, if you make me do math live in front of, like everybody, you guys, I like freak out a little, but yes, so that's my story. And then I'm just gonna kind of go around my screen, and you guys all shifted because now we have Miss Panchola with us, but that's okay. Let's start with Candace.
Okay, I did not have anyone in junior high or middle school, but I had an English teacher in high school, and I took her for elective English. I was taking extra English just like for fun, which makes no sense to me. But she was someone who I really felt like she saw me. I was kind of shy at the time. I was really involved in like my church, and I wasn't really necessarily, I was kind of transitioning from being with a certain crowd into a real churchy crowd at school. And it was just a funny time of life. And she encouraged me. She allowed me to like write about things that were personal to me. She was allowing me to like do my poetry that we were supposed to be doing about things from the Bible at the time. And she didn't have to do that. And I appreciated that she did. And it meant a lot to me at the time of my life because it was such a weird, just like transition time.
Nice. Love it. Thank you for sharing. Next is Diane.
I really can't think of anybody. My parents have always been there for me, and I had a lot of great teachers too, but I just remember kind of my parents, and then, you know, as you grow up, my friends, I'd always, you know, my friends were the ones that I'd connect with. I had a lot of great teachers, but and a lot of interesting classes, but not a teacher that I really felt that I connected to. But I know I always had my parents to back me up. I had great parents, so I have great parents. My dad passed away 2 years ago, but I have great parents. So I don't really can't really think of. I think of some great teachers, but not ones that I connected with or influenced a certain way for something for me. It was more my parents.
And that's amazing, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't always have to be someone at school. You know, we all have someone also, you know, if it's not our parents, it could be, you know, someone, like we said, in our church or someone in our family or a cousin. We usually have at least one caring adult in our lives. It doesn't matter where they come from, right? So that's amazing. Thank you, Diane. Next is Alicia.
I have a few, but I'll go with Andres Montoya. He was my Puente teacher at Chabot College. And it was, you know, that transition from high school to college and not knowing what to do and how to do it. And he always took the time, like on the side, hey, you know, little small talks, and everything he did, he was very passionate about it. And he's just someone that I think about, you know, like, oh, you know, having a bad day, just to reflect on the times that he helped me. He was a teacher, he was a mentor, and he was a friend. And he passed away. He was like probably like in his early 30s. But yeah, I think of him often. It's been years. He passed away, I want to say maybe in the mid-late 90s. But that's someone that really stayed with me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always beautiful when we have that puente connection, right? And sometimes I feel like it's a big but small world, right? We always kind of come back to that. Let me see, Cynthia. Sorry, I'm just going off of my screen and Cynthia's next.
Sorry, I have my camera off. I have to charge my Chromebook.
No worries.
My face all up in the camera, but my picture's there.
That's right. It's a beautiful picture. Thank you.
Just kidding. I'm very blessed. I just had to start off with that because I have two very incredible, loving immigrant parents that just supported me without having an education. And I'm not going to talk about them because then I cry. So I'm going to focus on an adult at school. But I'm so lucky that that was first and foremost, to have that love and support at home. And then at school, I've always been really social. And so I had quite a few teachers that I had a bond with. But you know, someone that we don't usually talk about is I had an attendance clerk that was so loving. And she just like, I looked forward to seeing her every morning, you know, as you came to school. She just gave love and hugs and warmth that we needed to feel like in school, right? So, and it wasn't necessarily like I had teachers that pushed me academically that helped me through the college path and all of that, but just the feeling the nurture and love at school. I don't think we give our staff, like office staff, enough credit too for just making you feel welcome.
Yes, I actually make it a point, obviously now being education and I have my kids in elementary school. I make it a point, like for Christmas and, you know, for end of the year or whatever, even Valentine's Day, I always give the front office staff, like the attendance clerk and the nurse and because it's, you know, they're like really, I call them the heart of the school, you know, yeah. They know the kids and the parents and the parents. So I always try to make sure I go above and beyond and support, you know, and appreciate them. And they're so cute. They're always like, you remember me, you know, they're always so appreciative. Even if it's just like a little Starbucks gift card, they're like, thank you. Nobody ever gets me anything. That's literally what the health, like the health nurse told me. She's like, I've never gotten anything from any parent. And so it's always nice to appreciate because it really is. It does make a difference for the kiddos, right?
Yeah.
That's sweet. Do you remember her name?
Yeah, Miss Portley, Athleen Portley. And she now works at another high school. And my goddaughter got to get that love from her too. So she's still around. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful. I have Miriam next.
So for me, I think same as Cynthia, I have like really supportive parents that never really finished high school or even middle school. And so just their support alone meant the world to me. I had my abuelita too. She was kind of like the one that made me the breakfast in the morning and sent me to school with a full stomach. So that, you know, not everybody gets that. And then I would say at school, I was blessed enough to meet she's still my best friend, but she was a junior when I was a freshman, and we both played in the same soccer team. And she had older siblings that went to college. So she kind of learned the ropes through them. And since I was the first generation, I wasn't really sure what to do. What was I going to do after high school? But she kind of took me under her wing and showed me how to like apply for different colleges and just, you know, that was like something that was possible for me. And until this day, she's my best friend and she's my comadre now. I'm her son's godmom. So we have a long friendship of over 25 years now. So very fortunate to have met her.
Love it. Thank you. So amazing. Let me see who's next on the Imelda. Are you there? I know she's dealing with the thing at school. If not, I'll just move. Okay, you're there.
Yeah, I'm here. I had to pull away for lunch because another incident happened during lunch, but it's okay. But mine's was my after school program in elementary and in middle school. We had YEP, Youth Enrichment Program. Mm-hmm. And I still have contact with a lot of them, and they're educators. And one of them happened to be the principal at Newark Memorial High School. So when I went to orientation, she was like, "Oh my God, Imelda." I was like, "Oh, hey." And then my brother happened to be the SRO at Newark Memorial, so he ran into her too. So she's been a big impact in my life.
Nice, awesome. And then save the best for last, right, Jeanette? Jeanette, you're next. Oh, actually, no, we have Jeanette and Aisha. I'm sorry.
You want me to go
Yes,
next?
yes,
Or do you want
go
me-
ahead.
I can wait.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the person that really made impact in my life is Senda Rios. Senda Rios was my mentor, my supervisor, former Puente counselor at Tennyson High School. And she was really instrumental, not just in my training, but my personal development. She was the first to taught me about Chicano movement, civil rights, and just really treating students with love and compassion and going and service to others. I think service to others really was key in her practice. And I still keep in touch with her. I actually just saw her not too long ago. She bought some Girl Scout cookies for my daughter. So I continue to be in touch, and she continues to be, even though I think she must be in her maybe mid-70s now, she continues to still be very involved in the community. So I still run into her at Hayward community events. So it's nice to stay connected with her.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Aisha?
I think I've been lucky. There's always been somebody there for me. Early on, I think it was just my parents and my extended family. I grew up as a Yankee. My parents were both from the Deep South and went through Jim Crow and all of that. So they made sure that I grew up as a Yankee in New Jersey. And education was always really, really important. So they gave me every advantage possible because they didn't have the luxury of getting an education. So all my naysayers, I don't know, I just knew to ignore them and do me and listen to what my parents were encouraging me to do. And then in 6th grade, I had a 6th grade teacher who had really traveled the world, and she didn't take any stuff, Miss Saunders. And so she was always pushing us. And a few years after that, I started working as a draftsman trainee for someone who was getting her doctorate at Harvard. We had a little design center where we were designing playgrounds and housing projects for people in the community and working with architects and planners to make it come to fruition. I tagged along with my older sister for an interview. My sister wasn't interested, but I was. And so the woman who was running that became my mentor and hired me under the table until I was 14 and could legitimately get my little stipend. And she ended up helping me get into a prep school, for a boarding school actually, for high school, and was influential in me getting into undergraduate school too, because I wanted to take a year off and she wasn't having it. She's still very much in my life. In fact, I think she kind of thinks of me as her daughter. She never had children and she's much older now. And I kind of look after her now. She kind of looked after me for many, many years. And I actually go and take care of her from time to time. When she needs something, I fly to New Jersey and do what I need to do. So, but there's always been somebody there for me. I've been very fortunate in that way.
Beautiful, thank you. And I love that also for Soka, right? She took care of you, so now you're taking care of her. So I love that.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, we have our interim director of secondary joining us, Josefina. Do you want to share your story of you don't have to do middle school or high school, but anybody that kind of helped you through your K-12? I don't mean to put you on the spot. You can pass. It's okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Actually, you're all making me reminisce. One of the very instrumental people in my life, my mentor, Mr. Roger Burks. He was actually my homeroom teacher in middle school. My middle school was in East LA, and we went from 7th to 9th grade. So he was my homeroom teacher from 7th to 9th grade. He was the first person that ever told me you need to apply for a scholarship, and so He made me apply for the Mexican American educators, not knowing at the time that I was going to become an educator. He saw it in me. I didn't see it in myself. And he attended, I moved from East LA, and he still attended my high school graduation, my my graduation with my bachelor's, and my graduation with my master's. And he became, you know, such an instrumental person in my life. He passed away last year, and I still think about him. And he would always write to me, because we would, even though he was only in Long Beach, he would call me, but he would always write me these beautiful letters. So I have this, you know, these wonderful memories that are written in terms of his consejos, you know, all the good things that he would tell me, and the encouragement that he wrote to me for, you know, decades. So I will always be eternally appreciative to Mr. Roger Burks.
It's so funny to remember all their first and last names, right? How impactful. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I was just trying to ground us, right, of that person, just like Dr. Marrero mentioned, and, you know, Dr. Rendon this morning. You know, you never know that kind word, that kind gesture, that just sitting and listening and validating that student who's crying over, you know, something that we think might be trivial, like SpongeBob, or, you know, something strange, is important to them and is meaningful to them and makes them feel seen and heard. So I know you guys all do that. So I just wanted to kind of ground us in someone who has done that for us, right? Because every single one of us has somebody, right? And some of us have a few somebodies, which is more, which is amazing too. So now we're going to talk about a parent engagement. The way we kind of look at it. Oh, what popped up? A raffle. Okay, let's do it. Hold on. That surprised me too. Let's move to the raffle. My Hayward folk will recognize this. Where'd it go? Hold on. You will recognize my... It's funny when you're doing this live because they hide from you. Okay, there it is. Let's share screen. Okay, can you see the wheel? That's it. My Hayward folks knows. They know what it is. They've seen it a million times. Yes. Okay, you can see the wheel. All of your names are here, correct? As I was making attendance when I was taking attendance, remember? Okay, so let's spin it. Let's see. I don't know if you can hear the spinning. Who is it gonna be? Yep, it's gonna be Jeanette. Yay! Jeanette, you have won a $30 Tango gift card. I will be sending it to your email. If you prefer it not go to your work email, then just email me the email that you want me to send it to. So yay, Jeanette.
And it's a what gift card?
It's a Tango gift card. So it's basically a digital gift card, and you can choose from any like restaurant or store. So you get to choose instead of me like giving you Starbucks. I know I've mentioned this many times, but I don't drink coffee. So usually when I get like Starbucks gift cards, I give them to the kids or I give them to someone else who drinks coffee. So this is a way that you get to choose whichever gift card you want. So you can do Target, you can do Starbucks, you can do, you know, TGI Fridays, whatever local restaurants. It has like over 100 businesses you can use it at. So you will be getting that. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so let me get back to our presentation now. Okay, so here we go. Can we see it now? We're done with the raffle. So congratulations, Jeanette. Yay. All right, why is parent involvement important? We already know this, but I just have a little infographic if you want to use with your parents or even your staff. Right? Why is it important? We already know students who have parents that are engaged in school just do better. They do better academically. They do better emotionally. They do better socially, right? They just do better. And so I think in the past couple years, I would say maybe 10 years or maybe 5 to 10 years, we've been noticing a bigger trend of switching from parent engagement to family engagement to community engagement. I think Aisha and I, when we talked, remember how we talked about it takes a village? And it really does take a village. And sometimes that village is the people that are there engaged for you. So I don't want us to think that like parent engagement is just the parent right? There can be so many people that are engaged. Like most of our stories, some of them did revolve around our parents, but most of them were kind of revolved around educators that were in our lives that showed up, right? That helped us, that supported us. Like I said, my teacher would support me not only academically, but outside of the classroom, right? Making sure they came to our sporting events that were important to us, making sure, you know, we were, like you said, Aisha, like, well, you want to take a gap year? She's like, nope, you know, no, you, or, you know, when you got to go stay on track, do this, right? And so making sure that we're kind of looking at a broader lens of like what family and parent engagement is. Just quick definitions on the difference between family involvement, because I feel like a lot of administrators and people on our staff sometimes get this kind of confused, right? So family involvement is more of like the doing, right? What are we doing for parents? Like providing resources to, as we know during COVID, right? Providing all the food pantry resources and the internet resources and all those resources, right? That's kind of the doing. But the engagement is the doing with. So what are we doing with parents, right? Not what like we think that they want or they fill out a survey and told us, but what are we doing together as parents? You know, some of the high schools have, and I've mentioned this a couple times before, actually have a parent like reading club, right? So additional to the Puente Club, they have a whole club of just parents that read the same novels or different novels as the kids do. And they have like what they call like a book club, right? They meet, they discuss the book, you know, sometimes the teacher even gives them the prompt, like the same prompts the students get, like to reflect. You know, the parents get to do that together too. So what are we doing with, right? Engagement is doing with. So, you know, one hallmark communication of parent involvement is all those things we do, like, you know, we send out all the sheets of information from home. You know, you see this all the time, right? Your front office staff is always like, you know, sending out information on those little bright pieces of paper to the kids. You know, sometimes they don't get home. Sometimes they do get home. I mean, even me, like as an educator, I'm going to be honest, I don't always check my kid's backpack. And sometimes when I do check the backpack, there's like 17 pink, yellow, green pieces of paper at the bottom. And I'm like, uh-oh, I was supposed to do this. Or, uh-oh, I missed this event, right? And so that's kind of like the involvement. So what we would like instead is like the engagement, right? We want that two-way conversation. You know, obviously right now with COVID, right, we're not doing any like home visits, things like that. But even just those personal phone calls. You don't know how many times I call parents just to say your kid is amazing and doing great. Like those positive phone calls always make such a big difference because parents get scared, right? And sometimes parents won't answer. And I just leave the voicemail, the positive voicemail. Hi, this is Giselle, like just calling you. You know, little Miriam is doing amazing. You know, she worked really hard. She studied, you know, she did great on her science test, just letting you know, right? Those positive phone calls. What are the kind of the obstacles, right? What are parents saying? This is data. And I have, like I said, this will be for you. So don't worry about screenshotting or taking pictures. You'll have access to this whole presentation. But what are they kind of scared of, right? What are their fears? Obviously, cultural norms. We know that, right? There's sometimes a language barrier, or like I said, just cultural things that, you know, there's a lot of cultures that usually the educator or the teacher is kind of like, you know, someone that you don't challenge, or, you know, you don't really ask questions because it's like held as a very, you know, prestigious position in the student's life. And so parents sometimes get, you know, discouraged to even bring up things because they don't want to be disrespectful, right? Because that's their culture. It sounds weird, but fear of rejection, right? Fear of ridicule. They're not even sure where to get help. Maybe they need help, but they're not even sure where to go. Sometimes we have, although I love having like a counselor website and like a school website, sometimes they get overwhelmed, right? Or if you have those things that most districts do where they like send out all those parent peach jar or whatever, where parents are constantly getting messages and things, right? So sometimes they don't know which one of those flyers to look at, or it's a lot of information. Or they don't know what they don't know, right? Intimidated by the hierarchy of power. You know, it is sometimes intimidating to meet with teachers, but also with administrators, right? If they have an issue and they want to meet with an administrator, sometimes we have to be a support for a parent to do that as well. Anxiety about all of this, lacking technology. Like I said, you know, the pandemic has 100% magnified all of this, right? Lack of technology, resources, transportation, all of that we already know. We're seeing that fully take effect, and we're starting to see it come back a little, but we still can feel it and see it. Like we were talking about earlier, the parents are starting to feel, you know, like a sense of urgency every time they have an issue, or that maybe you guys are, you know, more accessible or less accessible, things like that, and it makes them anxious. Okay. Oh, look, another raffle. Okay, let me stop sharing again. Let's see who's gonna win this time. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Let's see. Let's put it up. Okay, let me move you over here. Can we all see the raffle? Yes. Can we see it? Oh, hold on. Let me move this over here too. All right, let's spin it. You have to be present to win. I'm just kidding. You guys all gonna stay here. And it's Diane. Yay! They might have an option for Michael's if you want to get like art surprise. But I wanted to. Never mind. Just kidding. I want you to spend it on you, Diane. Don't spend it on the kids. But I think there is a Michael's option. So yay! Congratulations, Diane. I'll get that.
Thank you.
Sure. And just like I said, let me know if you don't want it to go to your work email. But most people don't care. It doesn't really matter. But it's up to you if you rather keep it in your personal email. Okay, let's move this. All right. There's another. Here we go. Sorry, I have to move all my things around. All right, so then how do we do this? In one of the resources, remember the little blurbs I told you, you're gonna find, basically, I found the most kind of, the easiest, kind of most comprehensive way to do it, like in 3 steps, right? So it's gonna be connect, engage, and sustain. So how do we connect, right? Making sure you're making those intentional connections early on in school year, which is part of the reason why, you know, Puente has kind of those 2 mandatory parent meetings, right? We want one of those usually to be at the beginning of the school year, especially for 7th graders, because we want you to be right in their faces, right at the beginning, right? I'm here to support you. This is who I am. All those things about, I don't know where to go, or I don't know what resources, like, nope, I'm right here. This is me. This is how you contact me. You know, this is how you can, you know, all these different things. So we want you to make sure you do that right at the beginning. And I would even say, just like, Alicia, you were saying how you went to the 6th grade classrooms. If you can ever have like parents, you know, 6th grade parents even, that's also nice. But obviously when they come for the interview, that's another opportunity you have, right? For those 6th grade parents, for them to meet you the first time. And then you want to establish several avenues of communication. Like I said, sometimes parents get bombarded with all those other things. You can always tell them, hey, you know, this is, you know, what's your preferred mode of communication? So when I need you, or when I want to, you know, give you some positive news, I can send it to you. And then, okay, let's go on to the next. Any questions on connections or things that you do? This is my daughter. She was featured at the district Instagram. And so the counselors sent me this photo and I died. So this is my baby girl. She's the youngest of 4, 3 boys, 1 girl. Yes, I know she is a force to be reckoned with, let me tell you. But this is ways that you can engage, right? These are fun ways. Like I had no idea I'm just happy she's wearing her mask, to be honest with you. They probably had to tell her to put it on for the photo. She probably was not wearing it, just to be real with you. But this was a beautiful gift that I got, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And we talked about it for weeks. She still says, she will tell anybody she's famous. She's like, oh, I'm famous. I was on Instagram. You know, like this is just such a beautiful way for me to get news about my baby girl, right? So those, like I said, those positive phone calls, those letters, those emails, it's not always easy to do, but when you can do it, it's so worth it. You know, I just was so happy to see her. If you're really tech savvy, like we have some of those counseling interns, you know, Cynthia, like we were talking about, and I think Diane, you have some too. Have them create, you know, the social media presence. Have them create that website so parents can see. Every time you go in the classroom, you know, we had the wonderful world of engineering, right? We made those bridges and things. Those are beautiful pictures that parents would love to see their kid building this bridge, right? So it's a way to do that. And so that, just wanted to plug my baby girl. She's so cute. So there she is at her school, and she was super excited because it was not at her school Instagram, it was like the district-wide Instagram. So she's like, I'm really famous. The whole district saw me, you know, which I don't think the whole, but you know, she's little, she doesn't know. So those are always fun. Hosting parent nights, right? Family nights. I know that's hard to do virtually. That's not easy to do, right? we did one year, obviously pre-COVID. It was kind of like a STEM night, like a minute to win it. And this is also another way to kind of, for that school culture, another way to pull in. So what we did is we pulled in our math teachers. We pulled in our science teachers. We said, hey, we're going to have all the parents here on one night, right? They're going to do all these fun, small math activities with their kids, with their students. And then, you know, it's kind of like a college fair, but it was more like STEM. And all of the show was minute to win it, if you remember the show. Basically, it was like fun activities, and you had like 1 minute to do it, and you had to like figure out how to do it. Now, to make it more popular, probably you would have to do something like Squid Games, which is kind of dangerous, but that's what the kids like right now. But, you know, like geared towards what they would like. I wouldn't do, obviously, you know, don't do all the Squid Game stuff, but you can do some of those things, incorporate some of those things, but the kids still love the minute to win it things. And just like I'm showing, obviously I'm showing you today, like if this was a virtual parent meeting, like boop, like you see how we had those like, boop, surprise, it's a raffle, right? Things like that, even digitally, like virtually, work for parents, right? And they get to, and if they get to see it later on recorded, they're like, oh, the next time I'm going to go because I want that Tango gift card, or I want to, you know, participate in these family nights. So this is how we sustain, right? Like I said, 65% of parents are more connected to their children's education because of remote learning. You know, one of the positive things that came out of this pandemic is parents are now wanting to be more engaged, right? So how do we deal with that? How do we meet that need? How do we meet them where they are, right? And support them. I thought I saw a hand up. That's what I was like. Of course, who would we be if we didn't give you resources? All these resources I said like in a week will be up on the website. But there's a counselor, a Puente counselor at Overfeld High School, actually. She did a whole virtual sessions, 3 sessions. She recorded them. And then she has them on her website for parents. So there are just 3 pre-recorded parent workshops in English and in Spanish. I have linked them here for you. I didn't do the first one because the first one is a little bit more towards like really high school, but the second and the third one is A through G requirements, which we know we do. And then the systems of higher education. So learning about CSUs and community colleges and UCs. So she has it in English and Spanish already done. So you can look at it, take the PowerPoint, record it yourself on Zoom. And so these are kind of those things that you just kind of have like in your toolbox. Like I said, if you have a website or a Google Classroom, to just kind of give your parents, if you don't always have time to host a virtual one or to host an in-person one, or just to give them resources, right? When you do have a parent meeting, sometimes parent meetings, especially for Puente, are a lot about the curriculum and, you know, what the students are going to be reading in the classroom and the field trips and different things like that. So sometimes you don't have space for things like this, then you can just have it as a resource if it's already pre-recorded for them, right? You can send them the PowerPoint as a PDF and then pre-record it. So you can click on it and edit it as much as you want. Mental Health Awareness Week, we got some really good ideas earlier about how to do this, right? For mental health awareness, like Cynthia's idea of having the Puentistas make these beautiful sensory buckets for every like class. Sounds amazing. So things like that, right? We talk about this all the time, don't reinvent the wheel. There's already a national movement, like right now we're, you know, in Women's History Month, right? Kind of geared towards that. Like you don't have to always make something super new or super unique. But as the years go on, as you know, the students will evolve. They'll say, hey, this year I want to do this instead, or hey, this year, you know, they're like right now we're in a war. Like how do we help the middle school students in Ukraine, right? How are we helping this? How can we do this? Like you always want to make sure that they're also invested in it's just like that engagement with, right? Doing with parents. We want to do that with the students too. There's a college and career listing plan. As you see, we have 2 little of our little icons at the bottom. There's plenty of other things you can click on. There is a parent, I guess Josefina's here so I can tell you. We do have a parent academy. We do have 1 parent meeting that we're going to do statewide this year in April, but we also are in the planning works of having a parent academy. So it's essentially like the PSLI, but it's going to be for parents, which means that every single site will be kind of nominating or will be asking for a 7th grade parent and an 8th grade parent to kind of represent your school site. And then we're going to host a lot of beautiful events, a full academy, like basically they're going to be trained. and they're going to get all this information for you guys, and they will come to statewide office virtually. and we will be hosting them all year long. So it's just kind of like the PSLI, how we started in the summer last year, and now those students are kind of either graduating or moving on to 8th grade. We're going to do the same starting next year in the fall for parents. So just be on the lookout. We'll be asking for a 7th grade representative parent and then an 8th grade. And it can be like 2 parents if need be. If not, 1 is fine. But we need 1 for each grade level from each site. And then they will represent like your site at the Parent Academy. So just wanted to plug that in there. So different ways of parent engagement, right? We want to have it at all different levels. Want to make sure that, we at the statewide office, are supporting them, and then we're supporting you and supporting them at the school site. Any questions on parent engagement or any amazing parent engagement strategies you guys want to share? No? Okay. I tried to get us out on time, but I didn't, sorry. But here's our evaluation. I'm gonna give us a couple minutes. You can either scan the QR code or I will put it in the chat for you.
Giselle, can you send it via email? Because I'm driving right now.
Of course, yes.
And clarifying question on the Parent Academy.
Yes.
That's workshops that Puente is going to put on throughout the year and invite our parents to?
Absolutely, yep. You do not have to do anything. Huge
help, because that's your forte and like you're an expert at that. And I just don't have the time or expertise. So I really appreciate that. That's an option.
And we will have all of them recorded, Cynthia. And we are going to be working on kind of like a parent toolkit too, that's just statewide that we can just give parents. Like I said, through the pandemic, we're learning a lot and growing. And so this is one of the areas that we definitely want to, engage more parents in.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I think the evaluation was 2 questions, so I think that was enough time. Guess what? Another raffle. 1 more before you go, just because I love you all. So let's do 1 more. Let's see who gets it. I'm like, Cynthia, if you get it, you don't win. You're driving. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Of course, you're technically you're gonna win. I know you're here, right? I knew you were gonna get me on that. I knew you were gonna say, I'm here. What do you mean? Okay. So let's see, wheel of names here. 1 more for good luck. Okay, let me move all of these things out of the way. There we go. Okay, let's see who it is. We had Jeanette and then Diane. Oh, that would be funny if it was really you, Cynthia. It is you. And Cynthia, yay.
I get double the prize.
No, you only get 1. You don't get double. No. You only get 1. But yes, as always, this was obviously being recorded. I have all the resources for you. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to text, call, email me. We are always here to support you. If you're doing any, just like Cynthia mentioned earlier, if you're doing any in-person field trips, please let me know so I can connect you to our people on the ground there. We have Puentistas all over at every single site. Most likely there's maybe like 1 or 2 random ones that we don't, but we do, and we have resources for you. So please, if you're going to do an in-person one, let us know so we can connect you to those resources. If not, I think we're done. Thank you so much again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Josefina, do you want to say something? Or you want to? Of course.
The only thing I want to say is that you're so awesome, Giselle. Thank you.
Okay, then mute yourself then. We don't need to hear. Mute yourself.
Yes, thank you. Giselle, you did a great job as always.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you for hanging in there. I know we had small breaks in between, but thank you for hanging in there. So thank you.
Thank you, ladies, and have a wonderful Women's Month, because you're all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.